You know how an impactful book or film or song can become even richer over time? How we can experience it more deeply when we cross paths again with it later in life. It changes because we change. Scripture is the same. If we approach it with a sprinkle of faith, the Bible will furnish what we need when we need it. I just read the miracle story, Jesus walks on the water, again, for the first time, if you get my drift. I hadn't realized that it is distinct from the other Sea of Galilee miracle, Jesus calms the storm. But it is different. In Jesus walks on the water, he directs his disciples to row to the other side of the sea without him. The Enduring Word commentary gives us this insight. Matthew 14 says, in its version of this miracle story, that this happens in the fourth watch of the night, sometime between 3 and 6 in the morning. So they rowed hard for perhaps 6 to 8 hours and had only come little more than halfway across the lake, 3 or 4 miles. So what this commentary describes are disciples who are exhausted and frustrated by the seeming futility of their efforts, and who are growing alarmed as the storm gathers. This is the scripture from John 6. When evening came, his disciples went down to the lake, where they got into the boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. By now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing, and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I. Don't be afraid." They were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the other shore where they were heading. Do not be afraid, I'm with you, is a core promise that we can live by. If that's all we take away from this reading, that's certainly enough. But Jesus' walking on the water is not the only astonishing event in this story. There is the other miracle too. The disciples are frightened by something unrecognizable approaching in the dark. But once they realize it is Jesus coming to save them, their fear subsides. They invite him into the boat, into their struggle really, and are transported across the lake to safety. How many times have I read this story and missed that miraculous little detail? As if walking on the water isn't enough for one day, Jesus plucks the disciples from danger in an instant. This story illustrates something about the miraculous too, I think. Just like the hard-rowing disciples who were stranded in the dark until Jesus arrives, our efforts are not by themselves enough. Most of us do need to bend our backs in this life to make progress, but we also need a little help from you-know-who to get where we're going. A mysterious mixture of faith and hard work. The way I have heard it said is this, that we ought to work as though everything depends on us and pray as though everything depends on God. I don't know about you, but over the years I've wasted a lot of time and energy rowing in the wrong direction, and like the disciples, making very little progress. Other times, I seem to have had the wind at my back, which is why these days I remember, or try to remember, to consult with my co-pilot as often as possible and to ask for a little help when I need it. The song pairing is The Stranger. Happy Thanksgiving. Until next time, stay safe, be brave, and keep walking in the light.